The past haunts us all, whether it be a person, place, or thing. We are reluctant to let go. We call to the dead out of desperation and intrigue, searching for answers about what lies behind the shadows. We are paranormal researchers. We are Necromancers. Hello and welcome to the Necromancer Live Show. I am your host, Justin Brown, and this is episode 36 with Cory Heinzen of Maine Paranormal Society. He's really good friends with one of my investigators, and I can't wait to bring him on the show. In fact, I'm going to do it right now. What's up, Cory? What's going on?
What's going on?
Well, we're about to sit down and have a legit discussion about the things that we're passionate about and what we the questions, the stirring questions in our mind about mortality, life after death. How can we unveil a lot of the mysteries of man when it comes to life after death and other paranormal phenomena. So, what we're going to do first is we're going to find out what makes Cory tick. Why is he a paranormal investigator? How in the hell is he still doing it after all this time? I know in your bio you mentioned that you didn't have a paranormal experience, nor did you believe for quite some time, most of your life. Is that right?
For the most part, I mean, everybody has things that happen now and then, but my real big experience was when I was in the Marine Corps. We used to do what we call battlefield studies. I was stationed in Quantico, Virginia, and we actually went out to a battlefield right outside Fredericksburg, and we would go out there, spend the night, kind of do like a cookout kind of thing, and then the next morning we'd walk and talk, and then pretend, hey, half of us is north, half of us is south. How would we have attacked it differently than how the battle actually shaped up? Well, anyways, that night we're all laying out under the stars, and I think it was like around 1, 2 o'clock in the morning. You started hearing screams and gunfire, and then the cannon fire and stuff. We honestly thought people were messing with us because it woke everybody up, and you're talking like a platoon of like 65 guys waking up, and nobody could explain what was going on. And half of our senior leadership left. They didn't want to have nothing to do with it. So
wow.
The tour guy came up the next morning and explained it to us. That, oh yeah, you didn't know that? No. It was amazing, but
yeah, there's some. Yeah, definitely. I would understand why. That would give you kind of like a wake up call. There's no way to explain that in any other way. There's no way that you can kind of forget about the implications of what you experienced. And it seems like places like Gettysburg and even down in Virginia, like you said, those places still echo the sounds of war from one of the craziest civil wars that's ever happened on the continent, as far as we know. But it's not that long ago, but it is. You know what I'm saying? It's at the very beginning of the growth of this country and where it is today. It's a staple in who we are. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if it's something that we look for when we're looking for history, or we're looking for why we're fighting for a country or who we are as a country, but it seems like we meet that type of paranormal phenomena in the middle somewhere. When you go to these historical locations and you're looking for such things and how to connect with history, those things like to echo back. Now, in the battlefields, you can just hear it randomly, right? There's reports of it just happening whenever it wants to, all the time.
Oh, yeah. From what I've read on a lot of these battlefields, it happens all the time. Kind of like the stone tape theory.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an instant replay. It's not intelligent. It's just there. So
where did that lead you? I mean, you got out of the military, you finished that out. So what kind of got you into the research aspect of it? Was it just that experience alone, or was there something else?
Honestly, it was that experience alone. I mean, being in the military, you're around a lot of things that make you, you know, life and death and stuff like that, and just hoping that people that you've had to say goodbye to actually went on to something bigger and better than what they experienced down here. So I was lucky enough when I got out, I had some friends back home that you know took me in and showed me the ropes. Because I mean, honestly, I didn't know. I didn't watch Ghost Hunters. I didn't watch Ghost Adventure, nothing like that. It was something they were doing for fun, and invited me along, and kind of get bit by the bug and just kept going with it. So
Right. What did you do like in the early stages? Where did they take you?
they took me to our local hotspot that we have here. It's called the Greater Rumford Community Center.
Hmm.
Um, it's it's still not even known. Nobody knows about it. I mean, certain people have been up there and people have talked about it, but it's still not like actually like out there in the limelight. But I mean, we've been investigating it for going on 6 years now, and it's honestly probably made it bad for us going to places because we've been spoiled rotten with what we've gotten here compared to going to Waverly Hills or Bobby Mackey's Music World or something like that.
Hmm.
So
Is it because you've got the chance to investigate that place so much compared to the other places? Is that why you think you've got more?
oh, absolutely. I mean, there were times there that it was like every weekend for like 4 months straight we were out there. So I
So what type
mean,
of phenomena would happen? Just everything in the book?
I mean, we've had everything from disembodied voices to you know apparitions, shadow people. Um, I've had them poltergeist activity, moving basketballs, moving soccer balls. We actually have I think there's a video on one of my buddy's pages where you actually see him kick a soccer ball off a road cone. And the thing is like we've tried to debunk it like a million times. It's like a solid cement floor, and you jump around and nothing knocks this ball off, but yet nobody's near it, and that ball will fall off and go rolling towards somebody. And nobody's been able to debunk it yet. So
That's strange. Do you believe that there's an intelligent entity there doing that?
I believe so. I've been told by numerous psychics and stuff that have been in there that there's a lot of history up there. It's just they don't know exactly what is leading with what exactly is causing it, if you will, because there's so much history that's involved with the area. So it's trying to pinpoint what exactly it could be. It's really difficult.
I understand. Someone in the chat didn't catch the name of this location you're talking about. Can you repeat it again?
Oh, it's the Greater Rumford Community Center in Rumford, Maine.
Okay. Yeah, there's definitely some interesting places up in Maine I want to check out, and in the New York area. Hinsdale's house is one of the places I've been interested in, but I'm sure there's plenty of places. I know I've talked to John Huntington about a few places up there, and he was on the show earlier on, and he told me that there's definitely some places people haven't heard of that I would probably be interested in. But I always find it interesting what gets people into it, what keeps their fires burning. I had pretty profound paranormal experiences in my 20s, but I didn't start researching until, I was into my mid 30s. So what got me was my father had passed away, and the mortality of, my life, my family's, mortality was really a strong theme now. It's just like all I thought of was death. Will I see him again? Is he still around? Can he hear me? Can he see the grandkids play baseball? All those things that you go through. So One of the things, the cathartic things about the paranormal research was coping with his death. I was interested in if you sought out anybody that's you were friends with or in your family that's passed away. Have you used any of the methods you use to research the paranormal to contact them or to see if there's any evidence of their life after death?
For me, that's one of the things I try not to do. I mean,
Hmm.
if it happens, it happens, but I've never gone out like looking for them because just like you said, it's the whole morality thing. Because a lot of my family members, I grew up Catholic, hardcore Roman Catholic, Sunday school, like the whole nine and stuff. And if I talk to a family member for some reason through one of these devices I'm using, it's going against everything I go to church for. If that makes sense, they're supposed to be up in heaven as far as what I'm learning in church and stuff. Why are they sitting here next to me talking through this spirit box I got?
So you don't believe
But
that they can speak to you from heaven?
no, I well, it's hard to say because is heaven something that man made up or is it a real place? I don't know.
That is a good
Um,
question. It's a matter of faith, like you said.
yeah,
You're brought up to believe that, but not every as well as I do, everything that we believe may not be true. So I think it's healthy to have doubt and to question things, in religion. And if you don't, then I think that you can't expand the possibilities of, understanding what could be out there. But sometimes things conflict. Like, you have questions and things you don't understand about the children that you run across, if there's any intelligent children that, are not above the age of, how they say theologically, being responsible for their sins. How are they bound to the earth and not in heaven? There's all kinds of things that you ask and all kinds of things you wonder that kind of don't align with any type of theology that you may believe in or have read about. So, has there been anything like that that's kind of made you question your own religion?
uh, probably the biggest thing right now is the whole UFO conspiracy. To be honest,
That's a good topic. That's a good one. Let's hear about that.
well, I mean, just because the Pentagon released what was it like not even a month ago, 2 months ago, something like that. That they had a black budget
Hmm.
program that was following UFO leads. So basically, like a real life X Files.
Right.
And the thing is that if you watch, and it's not a conspiracy theory, it's out there, and it's just all these other governments, all these other countries, even the Vatican are saying, hey, we need to take a look at this because it is real. Why aren't you on board? And the US just seems to kind of like be little by little putting it out there. And it's like, if that's the case, that's going to topple over everything that we've grown to, believing in. Because,
Hmm. So, what do you think? Like the interpretations of the how the ancient alien theory goes, like our gods came from space or the sky, and just the disciples and everybody in the Bible that tells the stories of God and spirit and angels and so on, were they seeing aliens? Do you believe that that could be possible? An alien
oh, absolutely.
craft?
I think so. I mean, there's too much literature and paintings and stuff like that depicting people riding around on these saucers and stuff like that. It's creepy. I mean, and for you to honestly say that it's not something that's a possibility, you're a fool because
Hmm.
it's going to come out in the long run. So it's either accept it now or just be one of those people that are freaking out when it does.
Yeah,
So,
the whole concept of extraterrestrials and aliens visiting Earth, it's terrifying to me. My mother told me stories of several abductions she's had and encounters she's had with interdimensional beings and aliens. And frankly, the whole notion of something coming down in the night and abducting me and taking me up in the shit and shipping, doing God knows what to me.
Yep.
Fuck that. Fuck that. Stay the fuck away from me. I'd rather, I tell Matt Bitton all the time and all my other friends, I'd rather be possessed by Satan and 5 trillion demons than to be abducted by an alien. I do not want that to happen. I would take a swan dive in the pit of hell before I'd go up in an alien craft.
Yeah. That's just adding a whole bunch of, no.
Yeah, a whole bunch of no. That's a good way to put it. All right, let's shift gears. If you want to get back into UFO topic, we definitely have talked about it on the show, but it is interesting how UFOs and aliens kind of intersect when it comes to the paranormal. There's a lot of similarities and a lot of things that seem to, be connected to it. But let's kind of get back to the spiritual aspect. I'm sure the viewers are going to hear about the places you've been and the things you've experienced, and maybe even some of the things you're able to capture in your research. What are things that stand out?
Some things that stand out. I mean, everybody. I've gotten some good EVPs here and there and stuff like that. I mean, a lot of the stuff that I've caught, I don't put out there. I mean, we were talking about it earlier, but like a lot of the videos and stuff I don't put out there just because I don't like the drama that comes along with it. Too many people, because it's not theirs. Too many people are like, oh, that's fake, and that's fake, and it's like, well, what's even the point? I have a video. I have a shadow person peeking his head out of the door, and I ask him to come out and turn on a flashlight for me, and you see him. He walks out, the camera even focuses in on him, turns on the flashlight, and he walks back. And everybody's like, oh, it's just your shadow. I'm like, yeah, because my shadow can walk over and turn on the flashlight and walk back, I guess. So, but, go for it.
I was going to say, you sound like you're met with a lot of skepticism, and it can be frustrating, and that is what kind of gets me into the mode that I like to do things scientifically and trying to do things to where it will hold up to skepticism, and that's very difficult. But go on. I want to hear what you think, not what skeptics think.
Oh no, I tell people, if you don't believe me, friggin' strap on your boots and I'll bring you on an investigation. We'll see how long you last. Yeah. I mean, I had something tell me to get out. And I mean, when I say it told me to get out, it was the most evil sounding, I call it a dick demon, because it's just something that's, it's in the dark. You don't want to know what it is. Josh probably knows what I'm talking about because that was like the running joke for the longest time. But
a dick demon.
Tell me to get out. And the weirdest, yep. I couldn't run away. It was like, I didn't want to run away. Let me put that out there, but at the same time, I couldn't move. It was like it zapped all my energy, which was really fascinating because I've never had something like that happen before. And then talking to more people that have had like a disembodied voice that was that loud and that profound, they said they experienced the same thing. So it was like an instant zap of energy, and you're spent. All I could say was, Jesus Christ. I took a step back and then I just froze. I didn't say nothing. I couldn't move. Anything. And that was probably the best one I've had.
Where was this?
I mean, the Great Burnford Community Center.
Okay.
I mean, Pennhurst was very, 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 very cool. I did have something happen on the 3rd floor. Go figure. Everything's the 3rd floor. You ever notice that?
Yeah, 3s definitely are something that happen quite a bit, and that especially when it comes to the paranormal. But I'm trying to think of places that have 3rd floors that I know of. I know the 3rd floor at Waverly Hills Sanatorium isn't the most active one that I've experienced.
No. I think for Waverly Hills, that was the 4th floor going up to the roof?
Yeah, that's the one I experienced the most, was the 4th.
Yeah. Yeah, that's what, we had some stuff happen. But yeah, Old South Pittsburgh, we had stuff on, I guess you would call it the third floor, and Pennhurst. But I mean, Rolling Hills. But I, being in the military, whenever you say the third floor was for the problem children. That's if you get in trouble like with the military, like in like a mental health issue or something like that, they send you to the third floor. And basically, friggin', you get off the elevator and they have people there friggin' to greet you, and they're like, "How you doing today, Mr. Heinzen? You know, nobody's here to hurt you," and you know you're screwed. So
you haven't been to the third floor, have you?
No, I have. I ain't gonna lie. I've been to the third floor, but I mean, you know, at least I was willing to admit, you know, I had a problem. You know, so it's the people that don't admit that they have a problem that end up causing problems. So
I can agree with that. We all have our skeletons and we all have our shortcomings. No one's perfect.
no, but no. I mean, there's a lot of places that I've been, and I mean, I've been let down quite a few times. You know, taking trips like as far as we have, and not a goddamn thing happens.
Mm-hmm.
But just not in the, you know, it's just not in the cards. Not saying the place ain't haunted. It's just, it's not their night. They don't want to talk to me.
It's the nature of the beast.
I believe wholeheartedly in the energy that you bring to the location. The spirits will correspond in turn sometimes. So if you go in there like a bat out of hell and you're all excited and you're pumped up and stuff, they'll feed off that energy. If you go in there and you're just like, God damn, I just worked a full day. Now I'm doing this. You ain't going to get nothing. So
yeah,
we try to go in.
That seems like that's something that most of the paranormal researchers I've talked to, they want to try to figure out all the factors that lead to a more active phenomena in a certain location. During your research, do you try to look for those factors? And if you have, what factors do you think lead to more paranormal phenomena in a location versus a time where it's dead?
Now, the reason I say that is because we've noticed, getting back to the community center, the most active it usually is after they have, because it's an active community center.
Mm-hmm.
We usually get the best activity after like a basketball game or a floor hockey game or something like that. Like the kids are in there. They're all full of spunk, all full of energy, and then they just leave. Mm-hmm. And all that energy is just trapped in there, and the spirits just feed off of it. And we've gotten some of our best evidence after incidences like that. So I was a huge believer in pumping rooms, you know, bringing EM pumps into rooms and just dropping them off for like an hour beforehand, just to, you know, just to give them give them a charge. And
does that work?
You know, a lot of it does. It's actually worked pretty good for EVP sessions, I found. But I mean, that's just my opinion. A lot of people don't like it because, you know, you start getting the false positives on your mel meters and stuff like that. And it's like, well, if you go and get your baseline beforehand and then you pump the room, you know, you already know that, you know, that fluctuation is obviously caused by the pumps. So, but
I'm sorry to interrupt, but you said the basketball game would go on and then they'd leave. So if you would turn the pumps on for an hour or two before you went in, then shut them off, that would simulate that, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So there wouldn't be a problem with false positives.
No, but the way that I investigate, I don't like all the lighty stuff and things like that. Like when you're dealing with clients, yeah, they like seeing stuff like that because it kind of gives them like more of a sense of like, hey, you know what you're doing and stuff like that. But at the same time, it's like, how many times have you seen a K2 meter go off because somebody had their phone on by accident? It wasn't an airplane. It wasn't an airplane mode.
A lot.
Or somebody somebody's got a key fob that they're messing with, or they're not noticing that they're sitting on, and it's setting off the K2 meter and stuff like that. So I really never taken much trust in that gear. Yeah, is it great for an event? And people come in and they're like, "Oh, look at the shiny things." Yeah, awesome. Here, go. But I myself, I don't like it. So
It's interesting that you say that the community center is the most active right after an event. Now, we just in January, me, Josh, and the rest of the Interface Death crew went to a community center in Moundsville, West Virginia. It's the Sanford Building, where the Paranormal Quest crew guys have the Archive of the Afterlife Museum, and there's all kinds of vendors and community, local community vendors in there, and we had an event. We filled that place up. The whole gymnasium was filled up, and we just talked paranormal, and there was all kinds of vendors there for several hours. And what we found interesting was we caught insane voice phenomena, insane stuff that happened with our ITC devices, and all types of personal experiences that we did not expect in a community center that used to be an elementary school. And I have to agree that the theory when it comes to the psychokinetic release of someone's energy, whether it be through emotion, thought, or just the physical experience in the place, everybody's physical bodies walking through, their hearts are pumping, they're all giving off all these types of energy, that has to fuel something. It has to be in the equation somehow, because you can't deny all the experiences you have when you have that type of scenario. So that's interesting that you say that, because we just had an experience that supports that theory.
That's awesome.
It is.
Moundsville, where the penitentiary is?
Yes, West Virginia Penitentiary. Oh. Yeah, that place was almost shut down, but luckily they got the new bill or whatever it was reworded, and now they can have the tourism and the paranormal investigations there this year.
Oh, really? Awesome.
Moundsville's cool, man. Have you ever been there?
No, Josh was telling me about it though.
Yeah, it's amazing, dude. It's really, really cool. Any other places that stand out that you really like, maybe that people haven't heard of, like the community center in Virginia or Maine? Sorry, Maine.
We got a seminary just south of us here in Maine. It's called the Parsonsfield Seminary. There's been quite a few teams that have been through there that have actually gotten some really good evidence out of there. But it's not really well known, but it's got a real messed up history. We're not even like, I'm pretty sure I'm not even supposed to like talk about the history. That's how bad it is there. So, it's something that people have to go and experience, I guess, but it makes for a good haunting. That's for damn sure.
Right.
So
yeah, seminaries seem to have interesting things that go on, which would leave interesting energies lying around. Plus all the layered history on top of them. I know a lot about the Madison Seminary, and here in Ohio, and it's been different. It's served different purposes. There's been different things in and out of there, and once you get all that packed in there with all the history, it makes for a very interesting haunting. And they're cool to research. Most of all your historical locations have been bombarded with all the history and all the energy like we're talking about. And it's, really, really fascinating how all of it works. All the phenomena that everybody, sees, whether it be a disembodied voice, footsteps, or full-on apparitions. There's something, I believe, with the human consciousness, their person experiencing and being in an environment at the time of these things happening. It all seems like it's correlated. It's not just like they happen on their own. Like, we are actually part of the recipe. Have you ever had that thought cross your mind, or have you ever considered that?
no, it's actually pretty interesting theory though. Never really thought of it that way.
Right. You know,
I mean,
to simplify it is, like you said, you go into it, and if you have a certain type intent or a certain demeanor, like John Huntington, his demeanor and his personality may attract. He's a part of the equation when it comes to connecting with that type of phenomena. That kind of goes along with what I'm
oh,
saying.
okay, yeah, yeah. No, now that you say it that way, yes. Um, I mean, it all depends on the person, though, too. I mean, I like John. John can go into a place like he can go into an old school. He can go into a place like that, and like he'll just draw people. He'll draw the spirits to him because he's just like we were saying earlier. He's just such a kind-hearted soul. Me, I don't know if I just look like a jerk or something like that. They usually don't want to interact with me, so I just kind of just lay low and film. So
There's still hope for you yet, Cory.
yeah, I know. Um, I mean, with spirit boxes though, I mean, I, anybody anybody can get somebody to talk to a spirit box if they know what they're doing. Like what we were talking about with the Frank Sumption thing.
Mm-hmm.
I think people have the understanding that spirit boxes are what they say on TV, and that's not the case. You know, especially when you're talking shack hacks and stuff like that. It's like you are hearing the radio. For anybody to tell you you're not hearing the radio, then you know the pissing on your leg and telling you it's raining outside, because that is the radio. It's just how do the spirits actually make it so where they can communicate with that. And I think it was you that I had written down on that in the comments section that I believe, my personal belief is that it's phonetics.
Mm-hmm.
I had talked to Daniel Roberge, the creator of EchoVox, and the way he explained it as far as with the phonetics and stuff, the AEIOU, is they can actually use that and manipulate it to generate the words that you're looking for. They don't take words out of like songs and stuff like that, and like everybody's thinking they do. But
right, that's what we do though. We do that. We take the sounds and make them into words, essentially.
Yes.
But we use a different
Still
medium.
there?
Yeah, we vibrate. Sorry, we vibrate air molecules and make compression waves that our ears hear, but it's using electronic devices as a medium. But essentially, they're doing the same thing we do, is what you're saying.
Yeah, they use the white noise, that whole fuzz sound.
Mm-hmm.
That's actually like a pump for them. It actually helps them do the things that you're asking them to do as far as talking. But,
right. What's interesting about the white noise is it's all the frequencies that are there. It's all of it. And so that gives them something raw to take from.
Now, John had brought up something like, I started looking into it and I was like, it was way too down the rabbit hole for me, but pink noise, white noise. You ever delved into any of that stuff?
Yes, me and Matt Benton just added that to the Solomon app. I've definitely done extensive research with it, trying to figure out if there's different sub-frequencies in the white noise, and any of the color frequencies are all sub-frequencies, with certain frequencies taken out of white noise, dubbing them, brown noise, pink noise, and so on. It's definitely something we should try to do if we think that white noise is legit, if it's something that they're using.
I think they are, but that's just my personal thing.
Well, I've gotten 100% validated EVP from using white noise, using just a spirit box tuned to static. And I've proved that it's not based on belief. My very first EVP validated was a spirit box just making noise and fuzz. Nothing came out of it in real time. The video recorder recorded nothing, but we had a separate recorder that was recording. We played that back, and boom, the EVP was there. So that that's proof that they can take something coming out of a box and manipulate it before it reaches that that recorder, and only that recorder. So that's the thing. The anomalous phenomena can be validated. If all the recorders are recording it, you can't really say it's anomalous objectively, because there's nothing anomalous about it. It's the same everywhere. The definition of an anomaly is something that should not be. So
Yes.
there is something to the white noise, whether people want to believe it or not. It's a lot of people I think that don't have the patience with it, because all the false positives you get from a lot of the spirit boxes that are scanning radio frequencies, they don't get all that nice, tasty, false positive stream of false positives that keeps them busy, it keeps them satiated. Where the white noise is, you'll listen to that son of a bitch for hours, days, maybe years, and might not get a whole lot. But when you do, it's more valid, I think.
Somebody was saying you can actually use air purifiers.
Really?
Yep.
The ionizing air. Okay.
Yep. And that actually, you can actually get, it's great for generating EVPs. I've never tried it myself, but I do know what they're talking about, because I've been around them before, and it does give off some crazy energy. That's for sure. But
yeah, that's interesting. I've never heard that myself, but I definitely heard of devices that give off either positive or negative ions to see if there's something that can induce or cause some type of paranormal phenomena to occur, whether it be apparitions, voice phenomena, what have you. That's definitely something that I would try. Very interesting.
Now, you ever heard about negative ions, how they're cold?
Mm-hmm.
So that's why you get cold spots when you're around a spirit or something like that.
Yeah, that would be very interesting if we actually got this kind of equipment to detect that, to see if that's actually what's happening.
Well, the thing is that negative charged ions are actually, they're supposedly they're colder than positive charged ions. That's why those fall to the ground, and positive charged ions, float up. It's almost the same thing as warm air, cold air, and stuff like that. So if a spirit's feeding off the positive charged ions, and obviously it's sucking out the energy out of that, and it's leaving a negative charged ion, that's why you're getting your cold spots. So that might, that's what we've been kind of experimenting with, like at the community center, because like you'd be down in the basement, and it's a blast furnace down there. It's like, it's always hot, but yet there'll be cold breezes coming through, and there's no reason to have a cold breeze in a basement like that. So
yeah, there's definitely something going on. I know that a lot of the stuff going on with the grounding, when people just go out and bury themselves in the dirt or just walk around barefooted, they're benefiting from the negatively charged electrons and ions coming from the earth naturally, and they believe that is actually very healthy and can cure a lot of things, especially inflammation and pain caused by inflammation, arthritis, and a host of health problems people have. I wonder if that's like some type of raw component to who we are and what's essential for life, maybe even consciousness for all we know, when it comes to that type of phenomena. It's very interesting that some of those things that we know that has research has to intersect or lead us to something else that could explain something paranormal. We definitely need to research it more.
Oh, definitely. I'm trying to remember the guy's name. He invented the poltergeist machine.
The poltergeist machine? I don't even think I've heard of that. Poltergeist.
Poltergeist. And what he did was he used like everything under the sun, like Tesla coils, Van de Graaff generators, all kinds of stuff. And he created a poltergeist activity in his laboratory.
Okay.
From all the he was using like ungodly things, and it's all like he's had scientists there, and they can't explain it. But I've always wanted to, like, I was telling Josh, I was like, man, we need to build a Tesla coil. We need to build a Jacob's ladder. We need a Van de Graaff generator. We need to build this. And he's like, he was all excited for doing it. And then it was like, okay, it's a little too expensive to do this, I guess. But
Albert Budden, is that it?
yes, yeah,
yeah. I just brought it up on Google, and I have never. Well, I vaguely have heard about it, but I didn't know all the information about it. But we should definitely. This should definitely be something we should talk about. There's so many things out there.
There is, and it's scary because it's like they're creating activity just by electrons.
Yeah, I'll read this real quick if you want me to kind of give.
Yeah, go for it. I mean,
poltergeist effects may be as much the result of electromagnetic anomalies as the workings of mischievous discarnate spirits, and as inventor John Hutchison has been able to demonstrate in his laboratory. Albert Budden is an investigator specializing in the scientific study of paranormal as well as electromagnetics. Excuse me. Magnetics and health. I'm dying over here. Hold on.
And health.
He is the author of several books, including Allergies and Aliens. My voice went to shit. That happens.
You all right?
I think so. The Visitation Experience and Environmental Health Issues, Discovery Times Press 94, UFO Psychic Close Encounters, the Electromagnetic Indictment, Poltergeist Machine. It's listing a whole bunch of resources. But I'll tell you what.
Button is the one that, he's the one that researched it, but Hutchins is the one that invented it.
Okay, that makes sense. So, guys, look up the Poltergeist Machine, because that's something that I don't hear a lot about in the paranormal field. You know, it's not on TV. It's not, the RRDR60 and all that crap.
RRDR60, what's that?
That's supposed to be the best EVP recorder. That's the ones that you see all the investigators on TV running around. They cost like $1,000.
$1,200.
Yeah, that piece of shit keychain recorder that makes everything sounds like shit. Yeah, that one.
I'll tell you what, a Sony ICD B17. It is by far the closest thing you'll ever get to a DR60, and you can pick them up for like $20.
Mm-hmm.
Because all it is it's got that friggin' voice activated recording.
Yep.
That's all it is.
I actually think that's horrible when it comes to EVP research. If you have a hard time analyzing like a long file, maybe paranormal research shouldn't be your thing.
True.
If you're listening to fragmented recordings, you can't tell, if you made a noise in between the silent periods, the timing of everything, because I've watched people use those things and I cannot stand it. I have to hear how it went down and, exactly went down. I don't want to hear gaps in the recording. There's, that's gaps in data, and when you listen to it back, it's not what actually was recorded. It's just a condensed, version of what went above the threshold, the decibel threshold of the voice activation. I can't stand that. I think it's horrible.
Well, the thing is, I use it as kind of like a real-time recorder. I use it as a real-time recorder, and then I actually have another recorder that's recording the entire session. That's not just voice activated. Mm-hmm. So I have something to validate, if it's being heard or not.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
But I've gotten stuff on the Sony that I don't get on my Tascam, or vice versa. So like, who's to say which one's messed up and which one's good? And so.
Well, EVP is only supposed to happen on the one device. If it happens on all of them, then it's in the environment. It's picked up everywhere. So yeah, I'm very, very invested in the voice phenomena research. What I'd like to do is just listen to my recording live. Like I'll put these headphones on, plug them into the Tascam or the Zoom, whatever I'm using, and I'll listen to it that way. And I'll hear it come through live, so I don't have to play it back at all. I know that's not cool for videos and people that's not listening to it, but we all use recorders and we all listen to our audio live when we investigate. But we have certain setups that not a lot of people use, like the RVPR setups, to try to find out if theories about the EVP are right or wrong. But to each their own. I know there's a lot of people out there that like the voice activated recorders just because, boom, 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 you get everything that comes through at a certain decibel range, and it's quick and on the spot. It's definitely quicker. But
just like it
yep. So go ahead.
No, go for it.
Oh, I was going to ask you to elaborate a little bit more on certain ITC devices that you like or that you get the most results from, and why.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna sound selfish because I got a Frank's box, so I mean that's basically it's my bread and butter right there.
Why is that?
I mean, but Frank figured it out. I don't know how he did it, but for anybody that's read his story or anything like that, these weren't built to communicate with the dead. They were built to communicate with aliens. And a lot of people don't understand that. And, just by happenstance, somebody figured out like, hey, and also we can also use it for ITC and communicating with the dead, which, hey, that's awesome. But we just went and did an episode for Rogue Mysteries with Bill Brock, and we went to the Betty and Barney Hill abduction site. Betty and Barney Hill were abducted in New Hampshire back in the 50s or 60s or something like that.
Yeah.
But we did a spirit box session utilizing the Frank's box and using the Estes method, and we were getting some crazy results. Like to the point where like it would say vehicle, it said car, and then all of a sudden, like, and we were out in the woods, mind you. And I mean, granted, the town's probably about a mile away, but next thing you know, car alarms start going off. And it was just really weird circumstances involving like that session. But that's John developed before somebody else that I'm not even going to use his name because I just despise the guy so much. John developed a system where he uses reverb, echo, and stuff like that on a guitar rig, and it actually gives a little bit more time for you to actually listen to what you're getting for communication. John shared that with somebody, and then next thing you know, they're pushing out a whole line of things and friggin' selling them for big bucks. And John's like, well, what the hell, But that's just how he is, he was trying to get everybody to, this works. Why don't you guys try this? And this one guy just took it and ran with it and started marketing it and selling it, which is kind of BS, but I'm sure everybody knows what I'm talking about. So
yeah, I know who you're talking about. If people in the chat room don't know who we're talking about, just message me or message Cory, and we'll tell you privately.
Oh, don't message me because he's like. Ugh.
Okay, message me. I have no problem telling you.
I just don't like the guy, and I've called him out many times.
I don't like him either.
Friendly. I told him, I said, look, if you think you're that badass and all that in a cup of tea, why don't you one-on-one with John? And he won't even, he's read it time and time again, and he will not respond. And I'm like, that's just being a chicken shit. What are you so scared of? If you have a good communication and you have a good connection with spirits, what are you scared of? And his reputation's all his bought YouTube subscribers and stuff, I guess. So
maybe he's afraid of being possessed again or being attacked
by a dick demon.
I'm gonna have to
That was the
remember
biggest.
that. I'm gonna have to remember that the Dick Demon.
It's all fun and games till the Dick Demon shows up.
All right, before we get into you telling everybody how to get a hold of all the content and material you've been involved with in the paranormal field, let's let the viewers know what advice you would give them if they're interested in getting started into paranormal research. What are the pros and cons? Just, some little bit of insight for them coming from you.
Don't don't do it.
Why not?
No, it's uh, if if they're looking at doing it, it's one thing. It's one thing to go out and enjoy it, like going to Waverly Hills, going to Pennhurst, going to Bobby Mackey's or something like that, and enjoying it with friends. But it's different. It's a lot different when you actually have the human aspect into it and you start taking on clients. And that's the biggest thing. There's a difference between an actual paranormal investigation team and a ghost hunting team. Paranormal investigation team, we actually go out, we help clients, we help people deal with cases in their home, we educate them, and we get them the help that they need, like no matter what we have to do. Ghost hunting teams, those are the ones that, hey, let's go out to the cemetery at midnight, even though that's illegal, but hey, that's their cup of tea. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just the two don't really coincide. People that watch these TV shows and all of a sudden they're like, oh, well, there's a haunted house here, but this family needs help, so we're gonna go and and they screw it up for it. They give us a bad name. You know what I mean? So many times we've gone to cases with clients that have had other teams there, and they never heard back from them. Never, there's no aftercare, nothing like that, and it's sad.
Yeah, it could be a mess, and it can also be hard work dealing with the public. No matter what you do, if you're working at McDonald's or if you're dealing with clients doing paranormal research, you're dealing with the public, and that can be troublesome, hard, and you can definitely get some teams that just do more harm than good. And that goes with just about anything when you're dealing with the public. But that's good advice. A lot of new teams and people are just getting into it. That's pretty much all they have access to is people saying, hey, I'm experiencing stuff at my home. Something's going on in my home. It don't cost them anything. They can get in there and see what they can see and, try to figure out what they can figure out. So you can definitely be open to any type of advice from some seasoned investigators when it comes to clients and residentials.
Another thing, don't be afraid to try to link up with other teams. That's the one thing that we do. Like Josh can attest to it. We've traveled around the country and met up with some great people and got to investigate with them and learned all kinds of new stuff. And it's like everything we do is based on theory. There's no scientific method to what we're doing because, obviously there's no such thing as ghosts apparently. So
Yeah, there
is it
is.
better? Well, I know there is and you do, but at the same time, science doesn't really believe us yet.
They ignore it.
Yeah. But as long as you're learning, as long as you're trying to learn and provide a better product to either your clients or just better yourself, learning more, to help you along the way. That's what you need to do. And if that means hey, I'm gonna come down to West Virginia, meet you guys at Moundsville, and we're gonna investigate Moundsville or something like that. That's what it takes, and it takes money. It's
Oh God,
it takes and
all of
and
it. Takes
yeah,
all of the money.
everything in the background, it's and a lot of patience, a lot of patience.
That's right. Well, let's talk about how these happy viewers can see some of the stuff and that you've done, see the places that you've investigated. Let's start the plugs and maybe talk about things coming up in 2018.
Uh, as far as like I myself, like I don't really have a page. Um, John has a lot of stuff that me and him have done together as far
Hmm.
as paranormal investigations. So you can look him up, John Huntington, on YouTube. Um, I was gonna say Haunt Me. That's a web series. They've been doing a lot of great stuff. They've been getting a lot of national recognition now, because it's just such a awesome production value, and it's so professional the way they do everything. So they're finally getting around here at season 5, getting recognized on a national level. So you could see some of the stuff I've done with them. Like, that's not my team, that's their thing. They just asked me to help out on a few things. And then, you could check out maineparanormal.net, but that's a new website that we just kicked up because our old website crapped the bed. So, but other than that, I mean, I'm sure it'll be something stupid Josh will come up with, or I'll come up with, like, hey, let's do 5 investigations in 5 nights. Okay, over 5 states. Okay, let's do it. And we'll try to do it.
Well, I don't know if he's talked to you about Willow's Weep or not.
No, not yet.
He's
No.
got Dave Spinks has just acquired Willow's Weep this year, and he's letting Josh Bender. And I'll tell you what, I wasn't going to go. I was going to let some of the other people that haven't been there in my group go. And if he invites you and John there, I will go just to meet you. And if that happens, I'll promise that I will go just so I can meet up with you in person and, shake hands and, finally meet in person. And I think that would be pretty cool to go hang out for at least a day or two, depending on how long you stick around. And, it's always cool to meet people in person that do these things I have on the show. But any friend of Josh's is a friend of mine.
I appreciate that, man. Yeah, that'd be pretty cool. And like I told Josh, anytime you guys want to come up here, we have access to this place all the time. So
Nice. Well, I'm gonna have to end this show. It's been an hour. It's been an awesome show, man. I really appreciate you coming on and talking with me about everything we spoke of. I know, an hour is kind of short to talk about all the things that we'd like to talk about, but we'll save that for another one. Hopefully we can meet up this year and do some cool things, have fun, and build some relationships that probably are pretty meaningful, at least to me. But you have a good night. Thanks for coming on, and if you need anything, Cory, just let me know. I'll help you out, buddy.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much, brother.
You're welcome. We'll see you.
See you.
Bye-bye. All right, guys, there you have it. Cory Heinzen, Maine Paranormal Society. He all the links that he mentioned, especially the Haunt Me documentaries, I have in the description. His website, his Facebook page, all that stuff is available in the description of this video. Please, guys, please go support Cory and everybody else I have on the show. That's why we do this. Check out his stuffs. Subscribe to all the stuff, follow all the stuff. Let him know if you like it and all that, because the support is what we need. We do all this for virtually no money coming in. We spend all of our money and all of our time doing this. So just a little bit of, support that we get from the community and folks like you means a whole hell of a lot. So please go do that for him, Cory, would you? And I see all the hearts and loves in the chat room. I appreciate that. Thank you for everybody tuning in and joining me each Wednesday night on the Necromancer show. It means a lot to me as well. But let's get to the social screen here and let you know how you can support the show and our research team if you would like. YouTube has yanked all my monetization and took Super Chat away from me with the new policies. So please go to patreon.com/supportinterfacedeath. Just $1 a month would help me out a lot. If all my followers and subscribers did that, it would help us out tremendously. But you can follow the Necromancer show on Facebook. You can follow Interface Death on Twitter and Instagram. The links are there and in the description of the video. All our Patreons are shouted out on this show. So if you even donate $1, you will show up on this segment of the show. Matt Benton, Clay Borman, and Matthew Jackson is still supporting Interface Death and the Necromancer live show. So we appreciate that support always. Guys, thank you very much. And we will see you next Wednesday. Next Wednesday, we actually have Chris Houston of the Paranormal Truth and Reality podcast. I've actually been on that show. It's a really good show. Please go check that out. I appreciate that very much. Stick around, see some promotions. You all have a good one. We'll see you next time.